Hello and welcome to the Daily Fish News Network, where if you want to dish, make it fish. I'm your host, Melissa Robinson. In tonight's program, we will be following an artist on her journey to make a mural for her children's playroom. But before we get into that, local restaurant The Poke Bowl is having a fundraising event to provide health care for needy animals. They will be serving their signature marinated fish and rice bowls at a gala where local band The Mankeys will be performing live. So, grab your tickets to the Poke Bowl's Poke Ball tonight. And if you like Pokeballs, you'll love our next segment. I'm planning on painting this wall. This morning I need to go get some paint to achieve painting the wall. I have a vague idea of what I want it to look like, but it's largely unplanned. I have some paints in my basement. We are going to look at what colors I have, and then I'm going to go to Home Depot today. All right, I have these sample colors that I picked up for 50 cents each. So I've got this bright green. I've got like a dark black. It's almost just completely black, which is nice. That'll be useful. We've got this light lavender purple. This is a bright red, gray, white. I just got done making my purchases at the hardware store. I have 74 fewer dollars in my bank account, and I have this to show for it. So yeah, now I'm headed home and we are going to get to work. I have washed up and we are back before the wall in question. Since I don't have a clear plan yet, I think I'm going to start with a strong compositional element. I'm thinking that I'm going to kind of start with a Pokeball shape, and we're gonna go from there.
And so I was finally ready to begin working on the actual wall. I first measured to determine the approximate but not exact center of the wall. I then attached a string to a pencil and used a thumbtack to attach the other end of the string to my center mark. I used this to draw a circle. I then mapped out the other elements of the Pokeball as well, such as the center button and the black line that runs through the middle. Once everything was mapped out, my child helped me to paint in the large sections of color, which would make up a kind of landscape. My vision was based on some cute, folksy, stylized murals I have seen online. My inspiration was based on some cute, folksy, stylized murals I've seen online, where the landscape is a playfully nonsensical backdrop for some cute little critters and even some plants.
All right, this is what we're starting with today. I need to finish this section and then I can start filling things in. I'm not gonna lie, I am feeling pretty apprehensive at this point. This is it's not that pretty. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen. There is a vague Pokeball shape going on there, which is a choice. Honestly, this is a bit of experimentation. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I hope it turns out looking cute and nice, and I hope that we like it. The kids seem to like it so far, so that's a win. We are going to keep going and see where things take us. Here goes.
As I painted the backdrop, I was happy to embrace some texture, either in brush strokes or in the natural texture of the wall, just to give the two-dimensional design a little more dimension. I know the video seemed to skip a lot of painting, but my battery kept running low. I think that I just didn't have it plugged into a great outlet and it wasn't charging super well. By the end of this day of painting, I was feeling a bit more encouraged by how cute the design was looking and how enthusiastic my kids were about the Pokémon taking shape.
Before we return to our main story, an article was just released by the National Journal of Nutrition, suggesting that if you want to reduce your fat intake, try eating your toast butter-free. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
All right, we are back again for another day of painting. We're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely, and hopefully after a full day of painting today, I will feel pretty confident that we can get this done this week. Otherwise, I will not feel pretty confident that we can get this done this week. So, time to get at it.
I decided that the mural needed a tree, so I began by putting one in. I initially intended to put a tree on each side of the mural, but I didn't end up doing a second one in the end, mostly because I didn't mix enough green paint to do two of the same color. I do think that two would have looked very nice, though. I made sure to add a lot of branches up top because they would make nice perches for future Pokémon. It also just kind of looks nice. When the tree was done, I decided to add this Gyarados to the pond. After it was drawn, I painted it and then decided to go ahead and just draw in the rest of the Pokémon that I wanted to have in the pond. With everything drawn out, I could then just focus on painting. At this point, I began to feel apprehensive again. I had grown too invested in the perspective of this as a landscape, when I should have kept looking at it as a very stylized representation of space like my inspiration pictures show. But I gave myself some grace as I reminded myself that this was an experiment and I didn't have to be perfect. I could learn from it, and if I ever decided to paint over it, I will have this video as a reminder of what was. Watching back over this footage, it is really cool to see it sped up because you can see the way that the light shifts over the wall over time, and I just think it's just a really cool way to see the time passing. As I painted, I found that I could mix the colors to make them more accurate to the characters, but I really liked how using the same color made the whole image feel more cohesive and played into the style I was trying to achieve. It also saved time in mixing colors because that can be pretty time consuming. I included a lot of starter Pokemon and their evolutions because they tend to become main characters. Go ahead and leave a comment as to what starter Pokemon you would choose. I think I would choose Squirtle. It is one of the cuter water type starters, and I think its water powers would be pretty useful to have around. Alternatively, you can just comment what your favorite Pokemon is and whether it is in the mural at this point.
This just in, we have here in the studio one of the animals who will be benefiting from the Pokeball's Pokeball fundraiser. This poor little guy is missing his tail. Once funds are raised for him, he will be able to go to the retail store to get a new one. But while we wait for funds for this little guy, keep watching to the end of this segment to get a peek ahead to part 2 of this mural series.
I know I filmed myself talking at the beginning of this day, but I messed up the sound situation again, so we don't have that audio. But at this point, I had finished the water portion and had begun working on the ground portions, which actually was one of my favorite parts to work on. I just think that with all of the fossils that I included, it looked really cool. The dens turned out really cute, and the uniformity of color makes it a nice place for the eye to kind of rest, even though there is a lot of little detail. And there was just something really relaxing about adding paint splotches and have them just be rocks and dirt or whatever. Anyways, this is just about it for part 1. Please hit the like button if you liked anything about this video, and subscribe so that you can see part 2 next week when it comes out. It should come out on Friday as long as there are no technical difficulties. But I can promise that part 2 will have the final reveal where you can see the entirety of the mural.
Tonight, we will be continuing coverage of our mural project. But first, a word of caution to our viewers. Crime is on the rise as the notorious Team Rocket has been spotted in the area. Suspect is described as...
Time to steal some Pokémon!